Greetings everyone, I'm back here for another video, and this time I'm doing a quick one this time on meeting one of the directors for Wish, Fawn Veerasunthorn. It's hard to pronounce her last name, I do apologize, Fawn. Yeah, I'm excited to finally see her and everything, so yeah, on with the show. Hey, I found a squirrel. He's just chilling there. Yeah, it's just eating something. Or slurping something, I don't know what it's eating. It's cute though. It's a really cute squirrel. Okay, so I found the building, and you know what? It has a really nice view. The floor in particular is really nice. It has a lot of books, you know, related to Southeast Asian culture. I guess that's what this room is.
It was a lot. It feels like a lifetime.
When she got it,
Good job.
I responded to the question.
I hope I'm not a giant head in the room.
No, it's fine. Not big at all.
Okay. Fawn, you came in at the right time. Steve just gave an overview, so I will introduce you to the audience, and then each panels will respond to the question that Dylan has prepared for us. Okay. So, well, here's Fawn. Okay. Yay. Fawn Veerasunthorn is a director on Disney's upcoming animated feature film, Wish. Fawn was previously head of story for the Academy Award nominated Raya, of course, and The Last Dragon. And she has contributed her talents as story artist to the Oscar-winning feature films Frozen, Zootopia, as well as Moana, Ralph Breaks the Internet, and Frozen 2. Born and raised in Chonburi, pardon my Thai, Thailand, Fawn was encouraged to pursue a career in animation at age 18. When she heard that an artist from Thailand was working at Disney's animation studio in Florida. Fawn received a BA, or Bachelor of Fine Art, from Columbus College of Art and Design in Time-Based Media Studies. Prior to joining Disney Animation, Fawn served as a story artist in television and film at studios including Illumination Entertainment, Nickelodeon, Warner Bros. And before getting into storyboarding, Fawn was an animation director at Six Point Corner Studios. She resides here in California with her husband and daughter. So we will have
our research trip, which is where I met Steve. that as we travel from country to country, we learn about why things were built a certain way, why people behave a certain way, and how it was tied to one, the climate, right? It rains a lot in this region. A lot of materials built to serve that purpose, and how to coexist with water, lots of water, and that communicate to the way of life, and also religion. Like Scott said, we do not have real world religion in the movie, but we have to look into that's the origin where everything started. So what is the principle, or if Mandra would have a religion, what would that be? They believe in dragons, that where everything kind of stems from.
You know what I would just add the fact that the way that I thought about it was, if you think about it as a constellation is made out of stars, right? So each star, just like each culture, is very specific, very unique, and is special on its own. But when you see the connections between the stars, you begin to see patterns, and you have to do it at just the right scope. If you're too far out, everything just looks kind of mushed into one. If you're too close into one, you're not representing the patterns enough. So I always thought of it as like this good space where it was just at the right angle to where you saw patterns, but you also recognized that each culture, like a star, was discrete.
one of the most interesting and challenging questions, which I thought was handled very beautifully, was the question of skin tone across Southeast Asia, because we have a lot of issues with how we handle ourselves amongst ourselves with regard to skin tone and how people are treated. And I remember that conversation coming up multiple times, and there being tremendous care taken with how each world or each people or each scene was developed and built to make sure that we were able to convey the kind of core central values that we wanted to convey in this film, that we didn't accidentally make a certain type of people be a certain type of way because they were coming from different worlds, which I thought was really beautiful and was really important to me personally, and I felt very grateful that the team took such care to really provide a diverse kind of range of skin tones and to make sure that no one particular skin tone had any, like, was good or bad or anything like that. It was all much more complicated than that.
I'm just going to add a little bit because I'm a linguist. So from the linguistic part, or the language part, when Scott invited me, he told me that we should not be able to pinpoint like, oh, this is here in Southeast Asia, or like this is a Southeast Asia inspired Disney animation. So it's not, we can have the feeling of Southeast Asia here, but we should not, like oh, this is just representing this region, or so forth. So from the language, when they have the team of linguists who came up with all these words, they're very, very creative. So I did research, and then I would see, oh, okay, whether they sound Southeast Asia enough, or then they should not be, like from particular countries, or we could still, like Tuk Tuk, of course. Tuk Tuk is from Thailand, and then Raya is Malay, Indonesian, right? But the rest, and then, like Southeast Asia, but I also wanted to make sure that the words, when they pronounce it, they pronounce the way they should be. So, and I really appreciated the team that, consulted me for that. So, and every time, I thought like would text me or something, right? These words are okay. And then I asked him, how will they pronounce them? Because in Vietnamese, for instance, if you pronounce it with high tone, then the meaning will be different. So we try to represent Southeast Asia in the best way we can. I know we have a lot of weaknesses, a lot of, there's room for improvement, of course, but we did, the team did the best, reaching out and then doing research to represent Southeast Asia.
Thank you for that. And as an audience member of it, and just watching Raya and the Last Dragon as an Indonesian American, I was like, this makes sense. A lot of things. Oh, that's my bottle.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, but thank you all for sharing different challenges. I think watching Raya and the Last Dragon also, I felt a certain sense of authenticity too that I was kind of surprised about, because it's something that I hadn't really seen much of business. And thank you for voicing those challenges. And our next question is for Fawn. How did your experience on Moana coincide with leading the story for Raya and the Last Dragon, and just focusing on new cultures and different cultures?
When I was on Moana, which our story production supervisor is Scott Sakamoto, so I didn't plan that. And learned a lot about, I guess in storytelling you were driven a lot by your intuition, your instinct. And there's certain that you gravitate toward because of who you are. And when you're dealing with a specific culture, that cannot be the only thing that is a driving force of your storytelling. So I learned to not assume that is the only way, that a great amount of research and also knowing to ask questions, lots of questions. I think that's what I learned, and also being curious about, if this is one joke I want to communicate, what are the other ways? If I put myself in that world, what does that mean? And that carries into Raya, knowing that not everybody unfortunately know what Southeast Asia is. When they think about martial arts, people just go right away to kung fu. And then we have to think, instead of just getting like super angry, like, how dare you? Then we have to think, well, okay, they might not know, and we are here to communicate to them, to be able to be bridge. And after the research trip, we came back, and Scott and I and John Ripa, we create a document of like, welcome to Kumandra. This will be your guide into this world that you might not know so much about, but here's how people greet each other. This is how they handle different kind of food. This is how Kumandra people eat. So stuff like that, that I think if I didn't go to Moana, I wouldn't have the experience on the other end of someone coming in and learning new culture. And now that when I was on Raya, I had the privilege of being someone who, in the position to spread joy about culture to people who may not know it. And at first it was frustrating, but then it turns into an opportunity to create a chance for people to learn about what the culture I grew up in.
Thank you for that. I really enjoyed Moana as well, and just I think at the time Moana was something that was very different for a lot of people too, because it was this big Disney film that had it was about Pacific Islander culture. So I think that's something that was really cool to see as something that you worked on, and I'm glad you were able to work on it or be able to use it in Ryan Watchman.
Can I add to it?
Yes, definitely.
So I think like another benefit, and I think Fawn said was like so beautifully stated, so I'm reticent to even follow that. But just in terms of like Disney as an organization, I think the way that Moana was conceived, it was Ron Clements and John Musker. They were the guys that did Little Mermaid and Aladdin and Treasure Planet, which is not great. But you know, they went, and this was their idea, was to tell this story about this girl that navigated, right? And they like picked a very specific time and place, and they were trying to answer something that was like real in history. And when they went to those islands, they were like really inspired, and it changed them emotionally as people. And they brought that kind of passion to the filmmaking. And so like all the things they learned, like know your mountain, right? Or the ocean is alive and you need to speak gently to it. Those are the things that like they brought to that movie. And because it was from the top down, it like trickled to every department and every approach. Now they're two older white guys, and they knew it. And I think that was the greatest strength, is that they then were like, we need people that can help answer questions for us and inform us and teach us. And so because of Moana, I think the idea of a cultural trust was born. And that's why we were able to put a trust together with this Raya across the lines of business, which is like consumer products and marketing. You know, they wanted to put Sisu, a dragon, on socks, right? Or on the bottom of slippers. Because, you know, they're just thinking like, where can we put this really cool character onto product? And I mean, because of great education from this panel, and because of Moana, those processes were changed so that they knew, like, before we start printing these things and before we make Maui skin and sell it as Halloween costumes, let's bring in those learnings, and how can we like take that and move forward. So, you know, I think that was like an outcome of Moana that came from, you know, filmmakers being really inspired and wanting to do this right, and knowing that they need to bring people in that can kind of help add to their knowledge and look at this the right way.
Anyone else like to add to that?
I just want to say I'm really grateful that that process existed, because when I joined the team, there were no questions about whether or not there should be these kinds of consultants. We were consulted about a lot of things, really big questions, really small details, and it felt so respectful, and it felt like such an important part of the process. So I really appreciate the kind of growth and the learning that happens from one film to the next. Think about who they would meet. So they met the head of our village, they met our priests, they met my parents, they came to our home, they studied gamelan. They had to sit on the ground for hours and hours. And part of what my first conversation with Disney ever was a Zoom call like this and there were like the producer, the directors, like all these like big people. I didn't know you at the time, so I was very intimidated. And I had to give them like a talk, which is like, people who know me know there's this Emiko talk, you know, it's like 45 minutes of you must use your right hand, you must take your shoes off, you can't point your feet at people, like all these like rules of regulations, like if I'm gonna take you to Bali, you have to follow these rules. And I thought this could be my first, last, only conversation I ever had with Disney. Because they're gonna be like, you're such a pain, we're just gonna hire a tour guide. And I really had to like think about whether I was willing to let that be the only conversation I had ever had with Disney animation. And I thought, well, I'm Indonesian, like I have to do this. This is my people, this is my culture. And so I was very grateful that you didn't fire me on that day. So that was a highlight, not getting fired on the first day. And also, you know, being in a temple ceremony with the directors, the story, the animators, everybody was there in this amazing temple ceremony in Bali. And it's at one point I was looking for you guys and I couldn't find them because everyone blended in. And like there were some of these guys are like, they're like tall white guys. Like they don't naturally blend into the Balinese, you know, thing. But I couldn't find the whole group because everyone was doing such an amazing job of just like sitting on the ground, being really still, and it was beautiful. And then I would have to say, we were talking about this earlier, just getting to know this group of people, this panel, learning about this whole process, but also the human beings that I have been able to connect with is perhaps the most important thing to me personally.
First, we had a Zoom meeting with, I forgot, it said, AI was there the meeting, and then you said, I was involved in this. You know, project. I was like, I was involved too, but I didn't tell her. You know, like, and then, so, yeah, that's like, because we all this, you know, before it came out, right? Before the trailer came out, we were like, we kind of like, oh, and I was involved, but I cannot tell her. But it was really amazing, though. It's amazing to work with Scott. It's really, you know, really, I got to speak as well. Maybe one please, maybe if you have questions for her first. Also, with the audience, because Fawn has to leave, our plan is to have a panel and then Q&A afterwards. But since Fawn is very, very busy, so if you have questions, you can ask. Yes, Fawn.
I would like to add to what you just said, Juliana, earlier about the language, which I thought was an interesting tidbit, right? Because initially the needs was to create a fantastical world where you may not be able to point specifically to a specific place. But when it comes to language, Tong was a great example, and Raya as well, where it has different meaning, but you can connect to it. In Thailand, Tong means bold. So I could connect with that name. And when it comes down to it, I feel like I have the privilege of being here and be able to make the decision on something that we can actually have a direct connection with and not working so hard to make everything so fantastical where there is no point of connection at all. And because Raya is kind of the first of its kind of being an animated thing that's inspired by Southeast Asia, I think that moment of it's an aha moment to me of like, maybe we can do more, maybe we can put in a love letter to Southeast Asia in this film in a way that if more than just one group of people can connect to it, then I think it's an incredible thing to be able to put the names, the fruit, the objects on screen that only this group will know what it is, but hey, we're here, we can make that decision.
Also, because a lot of our languages are Southeast Asian language, mainland and island Indonesian especially, are influenced by Sanskrit a lot, for a lot of words from Sanskrit. So it's kind of sounds similar in different regions in Southeast Asia. And then if you don't know Indonesian, actually Raya is the best, I think. Because I'm biased, I'm Indonesian, the best name because it means to celebrate. It's the root of a word to celebrate, grand, you know, like something big. So yeah, it's really, I think it's a perfect title and the perfect name for the main character. If anybody has questions for Fawn, especially because other panelists we will wait until later. But specifically for Fawn. Just two. Jonathan and then Savara.
Do I stand up or just talk?
Oh yeah. Fawn, can you speak up? Jonathan.
Okay.
Speak up.
Can you hear me, Fawn? Hi. I'm very excited for Wish. Congratulations on getting that direction job for that. My biggest question is, okay. By the way, there's a lithogram I got. I thought you were going to sign this, but I guess it's not happening. Yeah. No worries, Fawn. Yeah, but my question is how do you get from directing from storytelling? Like, since you're directing, how's the experience of being a director compared to writing a story?
When I work in story space, a lot of what head of story specifically considers big picture, the intention of the story, and in directing job, I'm taking that intention and I communicate it to every department down the pipeline. I think that is the most important thing about the aspect of my job is to keep the vision cohesive and consistent. And before that, we work in story, we hand it off to layout, which is a cinematography department, and then I would never see it again. And now I get to, and I find it very fun. I just came from animation meeting where we just talk about this expression of this character and what is underneath it. Because a lot of times you talk, you speak, but maybe you don't mean it. What you really mean is a different thing from what you spoke. So it's that kind of thing to get to dive deep into it, and that affects lighting, that affects special effects in the shot.
Mm-hmm. Must have been fun working with Chris Buck, though.
Oh, Chris is amazing.
Oh, he's a nice guy. I met him twice already. Yeah. Yeah.
He has a lot of experience. I find that if I were to do this by myself right away, I would have so much anxiety, and there were a lot of things that Chris is like, it's fine.
Mm-hmm. Don't worry, you'll be fine.
Don't worry about it.
Well, good luck with the production, I guess.
Yeah. Great. Thank you for asking.
Of course.
Yeah, hi, I'm Sarfaraz.
It's 4 o'clock, you have to leave or can you tell me?
One more question.
Yeah, if you have questions for Fawn, go ahead, madam.
Hi, I know that you're working as a producer now on Wish, so I understand if you might not be able to answer, but I just want to know, how will the current writer's strike in America, how might that affect future production of other movies that you might be working on?
Oh, I am not a producer of Wish, I'm a director.
Mm-hmm. One of the directors.
This, the films here, it is not part of WGA. So it's not.
Yeah, it's Animation Guide, by the way, you want to know.
That was a great question.
Because I think WGN is more for television compared to, into animation.
I just have one last question. From the beginning of your career, what were your aspirations, or where did you see yourself 10 years, from the beginning of your career? So where did you see?
From the beginning of my career, I was just hoping that I could draw for a living, because where I grew up, it was not a thing, and I was told that was not possible. So now that I get to do it, I'm like, well, I did that already, so what's next? And what I get to do now is kind of beyond my wildest dream, to be able to direct like Disney animation. So my hope for the future is that I can hopefully will keep able to tell stories, and story that is meaningful to me as a Thai person. So we'll see what's next. Thank you so much, and I do appreciate
Thank you, Fawn.
Bye, Fawn. So I did get a chance to talk to Fawn. I was here originally because I wanted to get my Wish lithogram signed. But since she wasn't there in person, it kind of screwed me a little bit. But talking to Fawn alone, that's worth it though. Talking to the people, the story artists that worked on, not the story artists, the consultants for Raya, that's a bonus right there. I'm just hanging around with squirrels. Look at all these squirrels. They're just looking at me. So bizarre. Oh no, they're fighting. They're fighting. Oh no. Hopefully they're not mating. Oh yeah. To Fawn, thanks again for answering my question about, you know, working on Wish. It's just pretty exciting for this movie. This is a centennial celebration right there. Not just a movie, but a celebration. Hopefully I do see you again, Fawn. Hopefully we will sign that one day. Hey, it happened last time with Don Hall. I got that sign. I don't know why I'm jabbering about it. I'm just gonna sign off for the night. Well, you guys, thanks for watching this quick vlog. I'm gonna make it as short as I can. And if you guys want to support my channel, I have my Patreon, I have my Instagram. Comment, subscribe, you know, the usual way to help support this channel. I think it's going pretty good at the best. I'm just, you know, I'm still a work in progress, you know. Well, you guys, thank you so much for watching. So you guys take care, okay? Chill.